How's it going, guys? Jumping in here again with another video for you this week. And in this video we are going to be talking about guilt. What guilt is, how it's used against you, and how people can use it to manipulate you, and how you may be using it to manipulate the people around you. So without further ado, let's get to the video. If this is your first time visiting my channel, make sure you click on the subscribe button. Also click on that bell so you get a notification every time I put out a brand new video. And this channel's purpose is to help you become the best version of yourself. And the videos that I share bring awareness to you and to your life so that you can find your purpose, so you can find your truth, so that you can live the best, authentic, and best possible life that you could possibly live. So in this week's video, we'll be talking about guilt. What is guilt? We mostly associate guilt with doing something wrong and punishment, and usually when you do something and you feel wrong for doing it and you beat yourself up, and then over time you start to feel worse and worse and worse, and that's kind of like my definition of guilt. But for today's video, I'm going to be talking about guilt in the context of self. But before even getting anywhere, I want to address, why do we feel guilty in the first place, right? A lot of that has to do with our morals and our values. When you think that you are going against these values, you actually feel wrong for doing that, right? You take all of this and put it together, you kind of get what you know as your perception. Perception has a lot to do with the values of the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you consider to be in relationships with, the people that you have accepted in your life and accepted their beliefs as well because you care about them. How do people use guilt to manipulate, right? Now let me give you an example. Guilt can be used in this sense. Say for instance you're in a relationship with a friend or a best friend, for instance, and they come and tell you, you know what, I want you to come to the mall with me. And you feel indebted to this friend because they did something that was generous out of the kindness of their own heart towards you. So you feel indebted to these people. So when they ask you to do something for them, like going to the mall, you're faced with a choice because you have a feeling within you that doesn't feel like going to the mall. And you also have the other option, which is deciding to go to the mall anyway because this is your friend and you feel an obligation to do so because of the friendship that you have with this person. And a lot of the time the guilt aspect comes into play when you want to do something different, or you don't feel like doing whatever is demanded of you, and your friend or your partner, your parent, or whoever that may be that expects you to do that demands it of you, and you feel guilty for not being able to do that, or for saying no to whatever that they're asking you to do. So let me break down a concept for you. I believe that within every single one of us there is a soul and there is an ego. Our self is divided into two, right? And a lot of the time on a day-to-day basis we have this battle going on between the two, and guilt plays a key role in that, because when we're living from the smaller self aspect, which is based on everybody else, so when we get in relationships because we want to get a certain validation, or we get into a relationship because we want to get a certain fulfillment, when we get into certain job positions that we think is going to give us fulfillment and validation, when we get into purchasing items and having clothing or objects or houses or whatever it may be that you think that is outside of you that will validate you, a lot of the time that can also be used against you, and the weapon that is used is guilt, right? And when you follow your soul, or when you follow your higher self, it's usually an instinct, almost like a lot of people associate it with like that small voice that you have inside of you that's always telling you to do what's best for you, that's always telling you to do the right thing, that's always telling you this is what you're meant to be doing, right? And every time you followed or you've trusted in that voice, you always find yourself in a place where you are more fulfilled, you had more respect for yourself, and you're happier. And usually that's an indicator that you live in your purpose, that you live in your authentic self. I will be sharing with you how you can go about overcoming guilt and becoming more authentic and living more from your authentic aspect and having a more fulfilled life, and kind of be able to look at yourself in the mirror and love the person that you see. Number one, as always, you gotta analyze and break down your values. You have to understand how you came to have these values. Who are the people that you got these values from, right? Kind of break it down and understand what exactly do you get from having a certain value that you inherited from someone that you care about. A lot of the values that we have come from being told who we should be, and not necessarily us trusting our own instincts within ourselves to be who we need to be. Like, here's a good example. In this family, we believe that a man does not cry. A man should be able to, to suck it up and take in all the emotions. And if you cry, you're not man enough. or if you show weakness, you're not man enough, right? That could be a value system that you adopt, that you get. And the problem with that is that you get your validation from your parents. Like whenever you actually want to feel like a man, you will do these things, and then you don't feel good when you do them, but then you expect people to acknowledge you for doing it. That's when you feel good. And that's you being dependent on the environment to make you feel a fulfillment that you should be providing for yourself. And when you're in that position, you can be manipulated with guilt, because all the person has to do, or all the individual that you're in a relationship with, wherever you get that validation from, has to do is pretty much come up to you and tell you that despite what you did, that's not good enough, right? And in that moment, those words could crush you, and you don't feel like you're good enough of a person, right? That's when you living from that ego aspect. That's why you have to break down your values and kind of understand how do those values serve you as a person. So step one, you really have to evaluate and break down those values and ask yourself where you got them from and if they truly do serve you. Step number two, you have to trust your instincts. Your instinct is the indicators that your soul has put in place in order to draw your attention to the things that you need to be doing for yourself in order to feel fulfilled, right? So a lot of us, when we live from a perspective of the ego, when we're living from the perspective of identifying with the outside world in order to validate who we are and validate our identity, we always go from that perspective of not trusting what we truly feel within ourselves. And those are instincts, right? Those are feelings that come up without you really thinking them through, but it just feels right in the moment. Those indicators are always flashing in your mind here and there. In whatever decision that you might be making, in your relationships, in your work, there's always these indicators that kind of like guide you towards what's your purpose and what's fulfilling to your soul. So kind of start to trust those flashes and those instincts. Since you got a banker job, you're sitting in your office crunching some numbers, and all of a sudden you get that feeling that this has never been what you wanted to do, and you're cramped up in this office crunching numbers every single day, 365 days a year, you've been doing it for about 15 years, and you've never felt fulfilled with it. And there's that hunch in you, almost that shake, that instinctively tells you that this is not where you belong. A lot of the time when this happens, we don't pay attention to it, because we're so used to thinking, what is my family going to think of me if I quit this job? What is my wife going to say if I quit this job? What are my parents going to say after all the money they invested in me to go to college, get a degree, and get in this position? What are they going to say? When your mindset is this way, you're still identifying from the outside world. So you're still living through your ego. You're not truly following your inner self and your soul, right? In those moments, I ask you to pay attention to those instincts and trust them, because your soul only wants you to live the fullest and happiest and most fulfilled life that you can. It doesn't want to lead you astray. It doesn't want to take you somewhere you don't belong. A lot of the time we end up in the wrong places because we think other people know what's best for us, instead of trusting our own instincts to take us where we need to be. So trust those instincts. It's always guiding you to the place where you best need to be. And sometimes it may not look clear. Sometimes it may look like things are going to fall apart. Sometimes it may be scary. But when you trust those instincts, there's a higher power behind that will put things in place, whether you want to call it God, the universe, or whatever you want to call it. There's a higher power in place that's already like preparing that path for you. So you got to trust those instincts, because your soul is connected to that higher power, and it will take you where you need to be, where you'll be happy in the long run. Even if it looks like it's going to be the worst thing that could happen to you, a lot of the time it's going to take you exactly where you need to be. And I've seen this in my own life, like with the birth of my son. I used to think that was the worst thing that would happen to me, because I thought my whole world fell apart. But today I understand it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because the things that I've learned from having my son and having to share that old skin that I had embraced, that people made me embrace, that people expected me to be, shedding all of that made me more authentic. And today I am happier, and I can look at myself in the mirror and be more content with the man that I've become. And all of this started because I shifted my perspective and started trusting my instinct and believing that my son was born for my best well-being and for my best interest. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to help you see by asking you to trust your instincts a little bit more. Step number 3, you have to set boundaries. Now, a lot of the time when we live life from outside of ourselves, we don't know how to set boundaries, and people can just come into our lives and use us as a way to serve their own needs that they've never attended to. Whether they do it consciously or unconsciously, setting boundaries is a form of self-love, right? Being able to tell someone that, you know what, I know you want me to do this, but my soul does not feel right, or my inner self or my instincts or my thoughts, or I don't feel right doing whatever you want me to do, I would prefer to do this. You have to be able to do that for yourself. A lot of people are not aware of the voice that they've created within themselves by trying to please their, their environment, their family members. They try to use the people around them to fill those voids, right? So you have to set boundaries, because if you don't, people will unconsciously use you as a means to fill a void that they need to fill themselves, but are not aware that they need to do so, because they don't have the knowledge nor the understanding to know that there is a void in place and how to fill it if they find out that there is a void. So they use their relationships, they use people, they use objects to serve that thirst that can be quenched except by their own self-love and attention to self and compassion to self. So they use the people around them, and they could be using you. So setting boundaries prevents people from overstepping into your essence and draining you as a means to fulfill their own needs, right? And this is something that is misunderstood, I think, as far as love. When you're in a relationship with a friend, a parent, a spouse, right? A lot of the time we say we're doing it out of love. But what does love really mean? Like, love should not be conditional, right? If it's conditional, then it's not love, it's dependence, right? And a lot of people are in codependent relationships and not necessarily loving relationships. At least to me, what love means is that I want the best thing for this person, regardless of whether it serves me or not. That's what I believe love to be, right? And it shouldn't be based on a condition. I shouldn't say that I love this person because of the fact that this person does this and this and this for me, or the fact that this person provides this and this and this for me. I just love the person, and that's what I think love is. And I want what's best for the person. I don't have an expectation of what the person should be. So if someone truly does love you, when you tell them that this is not the best thing for me, so I will not do it, regardless if it is something that they want you to do, they will accept that. And they'll be like, you know what, I can't force you to do anything that you don't want to do. That's where you set your boundary. I still love you the same, I still care about you the same, and I need to go and solve this for myself. Number 4, you have to let go of control, right? You have to understand that the only thing that you can control is yourself. Anything beyond you is out of your control. You can't control whether someone likes you or not. You can't control whether someone will do the right thing for you or not. You can't control whether someone will be there for you or not. And a lot of people suffer. A lot of people live this life where they feel the need, or they build the expectation that because I always identify with the world around me, we create this demanding urge on the world around us to come and fill that void that we already have within us. That may have been from our own childhood trauma. These traumas that have happened at a certain point of our lives, and we never address them. We just ignore them and shove them under the rug, and now we're expecting people to come back to us and take care of that, right? So you have to understand that you cannot control the world around you. The only thing you can control is yourself. Stop demanding others to fulfill the things that you need to fulfill yourself. It is not others' responsibility to take care of you. It is your own responsibility to take care of yourself, and let others do what they feel is right for them. And if taking care of you feels right for them, then kudos to you, that's a plus. But it's not their responsibility to come and fully take care of your well-being and helping you feel fulfilled with who you are. That is your responsibility. And step number 5, of course, is love yourself enough. Self-love. I can't say this enough. Love yourself enough to trust that you want the best for you. And a lot of us struggle with that. We think that we don't know what's best for us. We think that other people know what's best for us. This is like asking a blind person to lead you because you're blind, right? Most people don't even know what they want, don't even know who they are. But you're going to them for them to tell you who you are. No one knows you better than you because you've been spending the most time with yourself. Love yourself enough to know that you want the best for you. Stop trying to identify who you are by your world outside, because all you need to know about you is within you. And all you need to do is get over that fear and build the courage. Go back within yourself and go through those things that you need other people to feel, and understand that there's a part of you that can give you the very things that you're looking for from outside, and that will take you to a place of self-fulfillment. And when you're self-fulfilled and you have self-love, you start to become someone that's liberating others instead of being someone that's demanding of others, or someone that's dependent on others. Because someone that's dependent on others, in some form of way, you are a burden to people. And if you don't want to be a burden to people, you have to carry your own weight. How do you do that? You have to go back within yourself and love yourself enough to deal with your issues, take care of those things, so you can start depending on you and know that you are there for yourself even when other people can't be there for you. Hey, if this video was helpful to you, make sure you share with a family member, a friend, and of course share with as many people as you can, because my goal with this channel is to give you the knowledge that will allow you to gain self-awareness of yourself. These are things that I'm going through on an everyday basis, some things that I feel that I've gotten a grasp of, and some things that I'm still learning, and this is a process. The process of life is a process of growth, change, and we continuously learn and become a better version of ourselves. So definitely make sure you click on the subscribe button, click on the bell as well so you get a notification every time I put out a brand new video. Follow me on my social media as well, on Instagram especially. Let's interact, share your ideas with me. I love learning from you just as much as I love sharing what I know as well, because we're learning together. We're in this process, this journey of life together, and I'm just sharing my ideas with you to learn just as much as I can from you. Alright, I appreciate you for watching, and until next week. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, don't know what that was, but